everybody start looking at each other. I want to start sharing every week again the vision of this church.
Thank you, Lord.
The goal of this church. And I know we're nowhere near the crowd that we had New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, but there's a lot of things going on today. There's a few different hospitals tonight, tomorrow, and it hindered a lot of people from being here tonight. But we're going to continue to share the vision that God gave this ministry. The vision that God gave this church when we began, I don't know what it's been, 5 or 6 years now, here, was that God would use the unusable. Was that God was going to take people and He was going to rebuild and renew and strengthen them from a place that they failed in. And I know a lot of people disagree with sometimes our decision, but my heart for Jesus' heart for you, was that God would take people with a bad reputation, and to the glory of God change them and give them a new reputation and wipe away their past. But it's when we stop believing that the church started to fail. And I know some people failed in the process, and it's okay. God knows. We gave them that opportunity. In my heart, I pray that God never changes that. And I need you to pray for me that God doesn't change that. Because that's still the heart of this ministry, to give people an opportunity to serve God. Now, what they do in the process, that we want to see people help. If people fail, it's okay. God doesn't fail. God didn't fail. Maybe people failed. So I'm going to ask everybody from tonight and through these weeks that are coming, that we learn to start trusting the ministry of Jesus Christ, the work of God, and that we no longer look to people's past. I'm going to ask tonight you a question. Would you like if somebody constantly reminded you of your failures? Would you like if somebody constantly reminded you of your past? Things you want to put behind you, things that you want to forget about, things that you regret, and you're sorry you ever did them. And if somebody constantly wants to bring them up, you would be very disappointed. So in the same way tonight, we all have a past. We all have things that we're regretful of. We all make mistakes. And it's not important of what we did. What's important right now is what we do from here on in. Let's let the past be the past. And let's know one thing, that Jesus didn't come to condemn anybody. He came to give everybody a hope. He came to save people. He came to bring people out of bondage. Our job is not to continue to see people in bondage. Our job as a ministry, our job as a church, is to help bring people out of bondage, to see people come out of darkness. And I'm going to tell you that we're going to commit this year that even if we have to go in a dark place to bring them out, then we're going to go there and lead them by the hand and bring them out. Whatever God allows us to do to go save people and bring people to Christ, that's our job. That's this ministry's job. This ministry is to give hope and to restore and to rebuild and to give people opportunity. There's a lot of religious ministries out there. There's a lot of ministries that'll make you jump through loops, hurdles, and make you sit for years and years before you ever feel like you're even worthy enough to be called a member of the church, let alone a servant of the church. But I want to tell you, that's not this ministry. And if that's the ministry people are looking for, then this ministry might not be for you. Because this ministry will not. As long as God allows me to be the pastor of this church, this ministry will not share in that type of a vision. Because that's not the vision that God gave us. this, I feel like the Lord wants us to go into the Word and watch what the Word of the Lord says. And gently, guys, you can keep the music going. I'm not going to prolong tonight very long. I believe this is what the Lord wants to say to the church. 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 1 says this. It says, are we beginning to commend ourselves again? Or do we need, like some people, letters of recommendation to you or from you? Paul the Apostle Vilduman, who's he speaking to? He's speaking to a church, a people. And these people are a Corinthian church. And if you start to study the Bible, you start to see that the Corinthian church so much today resembles so much today resembles a model lifestyle. And when Paul the Apostle said, are we beginning to commend ourselves? This word commend ourselves means, are we beginning to praise, to applaud, to honor or salute ourselves again? Or in other words, are we beginning to tap ourselves on the back and say, it's a good job you're doing? And Paul says, do we need, like some people, letters of recommendation? Today the world requires recommendation. Today the world requires you to come from someplace recommended, because if you're not recommended by anybody, then you have no background. And what he's talking about tonight, so we can get an understanding, is he's talking about back in the day, people would carry letters of recommendation to prove who they were, what school they went to.
Shuddha. Unbelievable.
What doctrine they believed in, who they were under.
A resume.
And the greater the recommendation, the greater they were honored, the greater they were commended, the greater respect that they had. So when they would walk around to go give a teaching, or when they would walk around to go present themselves to somebody, they didn't speak. They gave their letter of recommendation. And on that letter of recommendation, there was a seal. And that seal represented the logo. It represented who they came from, who they belonged to. And everybody understood, because back in the day, knowledge was so important to people, that they understood the logo. They knew what school, what background, kada chick-vica, kada chick-familia sanas, and how much you knew. And people were commended for their knowledge and their wisdom. So Paul says to them, so this is the people's thing. This is what people do. Now, this is what Paul says. Paul says in 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 2, it says, you yourselves are our letter, and written on our hearts, known and read by everybody. So Paul the Apostle says, because people use a letter of recommendation to prove who they come from. But he says tonight, so we can get an understanding, you are the letter of recommendation from God. And it's not written on a paper, but it's written in your heart. So it proves who you are. So that when people see you, you recommend God. You recommend Christ. You show consolidum que eu traio. So by your actions, by your words, by your nature, by your character, it goes to show who you are, how educated, how schooled you are, how much you learned on the deal. Because people will read you. People are not going to read a book, they're not going to read a paper, they're not going to look at your recommendation. They're going to look at you. So when they see you, they expect to see Christ. They expect to see how much you advanced in God, how much you know on the deal, how body down on the deal, where you came from on the deal, and how you're coming up in the Lord, so that you're God's recommendation. Today, the world requires a recommendation. And a lot of you know, if you go to a company, they want to know, who did you work for? They want a recommendation. Today, the Bible says that you're that recommendation. Before people could present themselves to Christ, they got to know, what did you do for Christ? What did Christ do for you? Where's the change in you? What happened in you? So Paul the Apostle goes on and he says, you show that you are a letter from Christ, and the result of our ministry, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. Such confidence as this is ours through Christ before God. Not that we are competent in ourselves or claim anything for ourselves, but our competence comes from God. What is competence? It means our ability. Our ability to do something, our capability, our accomplishment, our skill, our talent. So when Paul is saying this, he's saying, not that we're competent, not that we have a skill, not because we mastered anything, not because we have a talent that comes from us, but our talent, our skill, our ability comes from God. And God has given us an ability to do something. God has given us an ability, he said, that comes from God. He has made us competent as ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit. For the letter did something. And you know what the letter did? Somebody read it with me. Somebody say the letter kills.
The letter kills.
The letter kills. What does it mean that the letter kills? He's talking about the letter of the law. He's talking about a religious system. He's talking about a people that lived according to a lawful life under the law. And we're told that letter kills. But what does the Spirit do? The Spirit gives life. So the law condemned, the law killed people, but the Spirit freed people. The Spirit gave people an ability. The Spirit allowed people to become ministers of a new covenant, not of the letter, but of the Spirit, because the letter kills. And as long as we live by a letter, as long as we live by a recommendation, as long as we have to go by what people think, as long as we have to go by what people feel, that letter will continue to kill people. But when we learn to live by the Spirit of the Lord, when we learn to live on Ducho de Devesco, when we learn what about the Devesky and not about a recommendation, not about who says we're good, not about who says we're approved, not about where we came from, because that doesn't matter. What matters is, it matters that Ducho de Devesco gives life. The Spirit of the Lord gives freedom. The Spirit of the Lord gives liberty. The Spirit of the Lord builds us up. The Spirit of the Lord saves us. And this is what the Spirit of the Lord did. It came to set us free. Now, let's look at verse 7 together and watch what happens. Now, if the ministry that brought death, which was engraved in letters on stone, came with glory, so that the Israelites would not even be able to look steadily at the face of Moses because of his glory was fading, though it was, verse 8, will not the ministry of the Spirit be even more glorious?
Amen.
So if that ministry brought glory to God, that killed people, how much more glorious today? How much more honor today? How much more blessed would it be today? How much more beneficial would it be today to be in the ministry that gives life? The ministry that would be more glorious. So, are we happy with some glory, or would we be happy with a lot of glory? Are we settled with just a little bit, a glimpse of glory? And watch what he said. It said that glory was fading away. Past tense. It was there for a while. And as time went on, that glory went away. See, today we could live in a form of glory. And you know what that glory did? That glory faded away. But you know what Moses did? Moses put a veil over his face so that people wouldn't see the glory disappear. Because as long as Moses had the glory of the Lord, people feared him, they respected him, and they knew that he was in the presence of the Lord. But as the glory of the Lord faded away, Moses kept the veil on his face. That the glory of God wasn't there no more, because that glory was meant to fade away. This is a more glorious ministry, a ministry that gives life, a ministry that brings death has no glory, a ministry that kills has no glory, a ministry that condemns is not glorious, that fades away, but a ministry that wants to bring you up, a ministry